There's a part on a Formula One car that nobody ever photographs. It's not the wing, it's not the engine, it's a bracket, a little piece that holds a hydraulic line in place. Now in 2017, McLaren needed one for their new car, the MCL32. Machined conventionally, that part takes about 2 weeks to produce. Now they printed it in carbon fiber reinforced nylon in 4 hours. 2 weeks down to 4 hours. The same part, the same car, and it was in the race. That bracket is the doorway into how modern Formula One teams actually operate. Because McLaren didn't stop at one bracket. Today, they're printing up to 9,000 parts a year, and they just won everything that F1 has to offer. Here at Vision Miner, we've spent nearly a decade helping engineering teams print the same class of polymers that you're about to hear all about. Ultem, carbon fiber nylon, PEC, materials that consumer-grade 3D printers can't even melt. So when a team like McLaren publishes exactly what they printed on which machines and in which materials, we pay attention. So let's start back in 2017. The MCL32 was McLaren's 2017 car, and 2017 was a rough year for them. Their engines came from Honda at the time, and those engines were down on power and they kept breaking, and they couldn't fix the engine themselves, so they were fighting it for every tenth of a second they could find anywhere else on the car. So they leaned on a brand new partnership with Stratasys, who had just become the team's official supplier of 3D printing solutions. And what came out of it was one of the best documented additive manufacturing case studies in all of motorsport. 4 parts, 4 completely different jobs. So the first part we're going to talk about is the mold tooling for the rear wing flap. McLaren wanted more downforce at the rear of the car. Downforce is the air that's pushing the car down onto the track, giving them more grip. So they designed a new wing flap for the rear wing. Now, the flap itself is made of carbon fiber layup, made traditionally with carbon fiber layup tooling and molds. You basically take the carbon fiber weave and lay it up on a tool, bag it, get the resin in there, and then cure it in an autoclave, which is basically a giant pressurized oven. Now, that tool or that mold was 3D printed. It was 900 millimeters wide, which is about 3 feet, and it was printed in Ultem 1010 on a Stratasys Fortis 900MC. Now, why did they use Ultem 1010? Well, it had to survive autoclave curing above 350 Fahrenheit, which is 177 Celsius, under pressure without deforming. So you've got a huge mold in an oven under pressure that needs to stay exactly in spec. Because if the tool moves even slightly or warps at all, the carbon fiber part comes out wrong. And if it comes out wrong, then you have to redo the whole process. Now, the total turnaround for this entire project was 3 days. And they didn't print just one. They actually printed 3 different design iterations and evaluated them all before the final version made it onto the car. Now, a conventional metal mold of that size, made of like aluminum, would have taken weeks and serious amounts of cash to produce. McLaren, with 3D printing, compressed that whole cycle down to days. Now, a quick note on Ultem 1010. It's PEI, it's a polyetheramide, a polymer made by Sabic, originally the General Electric company. We've been printing Ultem 1010 since 2017 here at Vision Miner, and there's a reason that it shows up in a lot of autoclaves, which are actually even more common in medical applications. Ultem 1010 doesn't even flinch at those elevated temperatures. It's a functional polymer that gets used all over industry. So the next part they did was brake cooling ducts. And here's where it gets a little bit wild. An F1 brake disc gets insanely hot, up to 1,000 Celsius, which is about 1,800 Fahrenheit, within 1 second of hard braking. You've probably seen it, the discs literally glowing orange. Now, keeping those at the right temperature so that they keep working as brakes is a full-time job for the aerodynamics of the car, and that's the job of brake cooling ducts. Now, these ducts are actually hollow carbon fiber. And to make any piece of carbon fiber hollow, you have to print what's known as sacrificial cores. So basically you print a form, then you wrap it in carbon fiber, and then you cure it, and then you remove that core. The 3D printed part inside never sees the race. It just exists to create the final part, and then it's removed. A great way to do this is printing soluble materials, whether it's a soluble support material or something else like that, where you can actually soak the core out to reveal the hollow part. It's tooling that you design to get rid of, and I think it's really an underutilized form of molding. It's a huge part of what these polymers are for in industry, and it's something we've seen a lot of military applications for as well. All right, part 3, the radio boot. Back in 2017, McLaren added a new radio and data system to the car, and the cable was getting in the way of the driver in the cockpit. So the team designed a flexible, rubber-like boot to join the harness wires. They went through 3 design iterations in a single day and had the final part printed in under 2 hours. It was on the car for the first Grand Prix of the season. So basically, the driver complained, and within a couple days, they had a custom fit printed part inside a Formula One cockpit. No supplier lead time, no tooling budget meeting. They just iterated, printed, and installed. So this next one is when they actually took a 3D printer to the racetrack itself. They brought it out to test sessions and race weekends so that they could produce parts and tooling on demand at the circuit instead of waiting on shipments from the factory. Now, keep in mind, this was all back in 2017. They were already doing this 9 years ago. And I'll say this, there are parts that we've seen here that were printed on the old FunMat HT that still to this day we're not allowed to show. It wasn't for McLaren, it was for another team, and that's about all I can say. But it's been going on for a while now. Where's all this led? By 2022, McLaren was printing up to 9,000 parts per year, and that was 4 years ago. Front wing development, rear wing development, wind tunnel programs, large sections of bodywork. Now, to be precise, about 9,000 parts. This wasn't 9,000 parts that go onto the actual car. Most of it was actually an SLA. They've got 5 big Stratasys Neo 800 machines, which are basically huge industrial SLA printers, building wind tunnel models. Now, on the high-temp FDM side, which is our specialty here at Vision Miner, materials like PEEK and Ultem, the Ultem and the carbon fiber nylon is what actually goes on the car, and also into the tooling that makes the parts that go onto the car. Today, McLaren's lab runs more than 20 printers across SLA, FDM, and PolyJet. That's resin printing. Makes sense here at Vision Miner, we sell FDM, SLA, and SLS along with 3D scanners, so check out our website for more on that. But a huge part of this is the wind tunnel. The wind tunnel parts for 2 reasons. First, F1 actually caps wind tunnel models at 60% scale. So every single one of these models is essentially a printed sculpture packed with sensors. Second, if a team does really good in the championship, then they actually get docked in the wind tunnel time that they're allowed to use in the next season. So if you win the title, you get the least wind tunnel time of anybody else on the grid. So when your testing time is limited like that, the teams that can print and test and iterate the fastest are going to win the development war. So did all of this actually end up working? Well, F1 has 2 championships every year, one for the drivers and one for the teams themselves, which is called the Constructors' Championship. That one is basically the engineering trophy. It goes to the team that built and developed the best car. In 2024, McLaren won the Constructors' Championship for the first time since 1998. And in 2025, they won it again. And their driver, Lando Norris, won the Drivers' Championship on top of it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that 3D printing won those championships. Hundreds of things have to go right to win F1. But 3D printing certainly played a critical role in how fast McLaren could develop these cars. All those saved weeks add up, and they let the team test more ideas than the competition in the same amount of time. So what does this mean for your shop? Basically, time is money, and saving time helps you win. So if you're an engineer or a shop owner watching this, every material in this story is printable outside of the F1 track. Ultem 1010, 9085, CF nylon, you name it, we print them all here at Vision Miner, and we build and sell the machines to let you do it in your shop. Just like our 22 IDAX back there, which is actually printing as we speak. Now, these aren't Stratasys machines. They're open materials. So we don't lock down the cartridges, we don't lock the firmware, and it's at an affordable and scalable price. So you also can print mold tooling, functional brackets, and all sorts of other stuff in a matter of hours. Whether you're working on a Formula SAE car, an F1 car, an off-road rig that's gonna go across the country. Now, look at that, the print just finished. Fantastic. So if you want to learn more about the 22, go to visionminer.com/22IDEX, check out the machine and our materials catalog, and when you've got questions, which you certainly will, just give us a call, shoot us an email. We're literally here to talk on the phone. You'll talk to somebody real here at our office here in America. This is what we do to help businesses every single day to find the right machines and get the right materials for what you're trying to do. So take your lead time from weeks down to hours, multiply that across thousands of parts in a year, and that's how you end up spraying the champagne. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a positive rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.